The portal is closing, but who might win the portal in terms of what team will have the best chance to win the title in 25-26 is still wide open, which we are going to go through in this video. We're going to update some of the latest news to happen or big news to happen, and then see where the various teams sit, which is really going to focus on UConn and South Carolina, and then take a look at the big moves that can happen that will ultimately set up who has the best chance to win the title in 2025-26, presuming all teams continue to have good health moving forward. Before we start, if you enjoy the content, then please consider subscribing to the channel and giving the video a like. Now, Charlie Creme has updated his way too early rankings for the 25-26 season based on early portal moves. And the big move up is South Carolina to 1, UConn to 2. UCLA has dropped from 1 to 3 due to all of their losses. Then at 4, he has Texas, 5, LSU, Oklahoma 6, and Tennessee 7. Now, with putting South Carolina at number 1, Charlie Creme's thinking is pretty clear. The net gain of Janiah Latson, she makes up for the loss of Laila Phelia, and this sets up South Carolina. And it's pretty clear if you look at their lineup, South Carolina is pretty loaded. So in the backcourt, you'd have Latson, Raven Johnson, Tessa Johnson, which is very good. Not to mention you'd have Maddie McDaniel off the bench as well. Then the forwards, you'd have Ash Watkins returning from her ACL, Kitts, Dowda, Joyce Edwards, and then the incoming recruits, Akat McKeer and Ayla McDowell. And then they have the ability to go super big if they like. So with the recent signing or commitment from Medina Okot from Mississippi State, and then Adele Tack. So it's a very versatile, deep lineup. The only question they would have going into next season would be shooting. Yes, they have Tessa Johnson who can fall out of bed and hit three-pointers, but South Carolina is losing Tahina Paopao, which is a big loss in my opinion. Now, I've admitted that I have a weakness for shooting, hence why I like UConn. If you take a look at their shot chart from last season, which is why it's one of the big reasons why they won last year. But this could be easily fixed by South Carolina because they are still in the running for Gianna Kneepkens. If they get Kneepkens in the portal, then it is over, as they will be able to throw out a lineup of Ash Watkins, Joyce Edwards, Tessa Johnson, Kneepkens, and Latson. And if this happens, it reminds me of when the Patriots, remember when they scored Randy Moss in free agency, or they got an easy trade from the Raiders because he didn't want to be there, and all of a sudden New England had an offense. And it's much the same way with South Carolina. If they get Kneepkens and have her with Latson, who can take teams off the dribble, get to the basket, and then she has the choice of throwing out to Kneepkens or Tessa Johnson, that's just going to be nasty to face and just put them in that almost unbeatable category, as they will have a very, very elite offense to go along with their obviously elite defense. That team should be able to play defense as well, because they always do, but as well, just the different parts they have to mix and match and the wings that they can bring in, and not to mention just the other parts like Kitts and Raven Johnson, and just, yeah, it's a lot of firepower, and I think that would be the final piece if they land Kneepkens. Now, speaking of Kneepkens, that leads me, funny enough, to Texas, as they're also in the running for Kneepkens, as well as Oklahoma and UCLA. But with Texas, the portal giveth and the portal taketh. And Texas, they gained their bigs, Bria Cunningham, who's a 6'4" big from Arizona that averaged 11 points per game, 7 rebounds and 1.8 blocks. They also got another big, Lovisa Hose, who is from Florida Atlantic. She is 6'6", averaging 3.4 points per game, to go along with Oldacre, who's returning. So they will continue to be a tough physical team on the inside, but they have also suffered recent portal losses. So Jacqueline Minwatanda, the 6'2" forward, she started after Aaliyah Moore went down with her knee injury. I was actually surprised when the portal opened that she didn't go straight to the portal. As I recalled, prior to the LSU game, she was late to shoot around and got benched that game. And I was wondering, in this portal age, would that be a a hangover issue, and would she go into the portal the following year? And I don't know if that's related to why she's gone in the portal. Maybe she just thought better opportunities to play, which is a possibility. But it was something I sort of had my eye on and was wondering. Sure enough, she has. The other surprise entrant into the portal today for Texas is Laila Phelia. She transferred in last season from Michigan. She's a 6-foot guard, a bit of a slasher that gets to the basket, but she only played 8 games last year because she had a detached retina and was slow to recover from that. Now, instantly, where my mind goes is this related to Janiah Kneepkens? Again, 100% speculation. One might not relate to another, but in my mind, I'm like, does she know Kneepkens is coming to Texas? And is that why she's gone into the portal? I've got to laugh, though, because I can't wrap my head around Janiah Kneepkens going to Texas, because Kneepkens would be coming from Utah, which was a very analytical team. And if you look at Texas's shot chart, like, they are an analytic person's worst nightmare in terms of they only took 15% of their shots were from 3-point range last year, where 29% was in the mid-range and 33% at the rim, which, yeah, that would make Daryl Morey sick, I imagine.
Makes me want to puke.
Now, if Texas is able to get the commitment from Kneepkens, they better shoot more than 15% of their shots next season from 3-point range. It should be at least 20 or above. If you have Madison Booker and Kneepkens on the same team, it is malpractice if you chain them down and do not let them take 3-point shots. Now, the other breaking portal news is that Jersey Wolfenbarger, the 6'5" forward who was at LSU last season, is going to Tennessee. We should call Tennessee the third-time lucky team, as they have 2 third-time transfers who were highly rated out of high school. That being Barker, who was rated number 3 coming out of the 2022 class, could not find a fit at Texas A&M or UCLA. And for Jersey, she was rated number 7 in the 2021 class and could not make it work at Arkansas and then LSU. So we will call this if they can't make it here, that being Tennessee, then they should not make it anywhere. Because in theory, Tennessee should be a great fit for both of these players. So with Wolfenbarger, initially she went to Arkansas because the coach there, Neighbors, was going to let her shoot from outside and be a prototypical big in the WNBA, but it did not work out. So then she decided to go to LSU, and the whole game plan there was she was going to get toughness from Kim Mulkey and bang inside, and Mulkey didn't let her take any 3-pointers. And then now at Tennessee, hopefully it's a nice mix of using her athleticism and letting her just use that to be the player that she can be. Will it work? Won't it work? Will Barker and Jersey, will they live up to their potential? That's the $1 million question. It hasn't worked at their other 2 schools. Maybe third time's the charm. To be determined. I keep on saying Tennessee is going to be a very, very interesting team next year. They might be really, really great, or they could be a train wreck, and I can't wait to watch it play out. Now, the other big portal commitment that everybody is waiting on is Sarah Williams. She's reportedly has visited LSU, and UConn is seriously interested as well, reportedly. If UConn is able to land Sarah Williams, then I would shoot them to number 1 over South Carolina, just because that would be a great combination, Williams with Sarah Strong, and I just think Sarah Strong is just going to get better and better next year as well. They still have AZ Fudd. People give me comments and saying, yeah, but Paige Beckers isn't there, which is obviously a loss, but they still have everything else. I have heard speculation that they might have interest in Kayla Heckel to help give them more depth at point guard. I just don't see that happening because she's a young player. They generally like to go for older players, and I just don't see it as a fit for UConn. I think it would be more comfortable just going into the season with KK Arnold and Ashlyn Shade, and then Khalees Fisher potentially getting in. And I might be wrong on this, but my reasoning is UConn is generally very conservative on bringing in portal players. They make sure it's a good fit. They've only had 5 players come in via the portal. Last year was perfect with Caitlin Shin because She played at Princeton. She was out of eligibility at Princeton. They had good information on her, as Carla Berube, former player at UConn, was able to let them know that, yeah, she's a good fit for your program. And it was a perfect fit. Like, if you look at Nika Mule, their stats are basically identical in terms of scoring, where Mule played 32 minutes and averaged 6.9 points per game, where Chen was averaged 23 points per game and still averaged 6.9 points and had less turnovers despite her usage being higher at 15% versus Nika Mule's usage being at 13%. Now, Mule could play better defense and was a good shutdown defender. But as far as a replacement for Nika Mule, you could not have gotten any better for Caitlin Chen. And I don't know if there's a fit like that out there that perfectly lines up to be the replacement guard for Paige Beckers or a Caitlin Chen. And I think they would rather just make do with what they have than try to force something in. Now, that being said, I'll probably hear that Kayla Heckle's coming to UConn tomorrow. I'll probably get that overnight. But that is my take. I think the big one for UConn is getting Sarah Williams, and that's the key to everything for them. If they have Sarah Williams, then they feel they have a they feel like they have a good chance at repeating anyway. But that would be the cherry on top of the sundae and really line them up well to defend their title. Much like if South Carolina gets Kneepkens, then my God, they are going to be very scary as well. And they will feel like they are very much lined up to get their next title. All right, now it's over to you. Your comments, your poison, it's all welcome. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a great night.